Today we're going to talk about dealing with the heat acclimatization, and strategies you can employ to do better if you have hot races coming up. I'm out walking my dog right now, so if I get jerked around, that's the reason why. So, first thing you need to know about the heat is that it impedes your ability for exercise, right? It makes it harder. Your heart has to work harder. You will ultimately dehydrate, and then your performance would be severely impacted if you didn't replace your fluids. So when you're in hot conditions, you need to stay on top of your hydration and electrolyte replacement. That's like number one. Number two, if you need to race or train in hot conditions, you got to sort of know your limits, right? Some of us are going to hit peak efforts that we're not going to be able to do in the heat. So if, for example, you're able to run a 6:30 mile when it's cool out, ultimately the goal would be that you could run a 6:30 mile in the heat, but odds are it's going to be harder. It's either going to be harder or you're going to have to slow down. So for acclimatizing to the heat usually takes a couple of weeks, and you need to do an hour or two daily. It's not going to hurt if you miss a day or two, but you need to do it regularly to get used to the heat. What happens when you acclimatize is you're going to have higher blood plasma, meaning you'll actually retain more fluid in your body. You're going to start sweating sooner. You'll sweat more, and you'll retain more electrolyte, more sodium in your body when you're sweating, so your sodium content in your sweat will be less. That's all good for you. Some people acclimatize better than others. Young people tend to deal with the heat more efficiently than older people. So once you have done your acclimatization, then it's a matter of getting out and exposing yourself to those conditions on a regular basis. Now, anecdotally, I did Ironman Chattanooga in 2016, and that wound up being a record hot day. I think the air temp itself got up to about 98 degrees, and the feels like was 110, 120, because we were running down blacktop highways. And I had trained in the heat all summer long, you know, middle of the day bike rides, things like that. And even with all that, I still fell apart with 6 miles to go. So best laid plans can still result in suboptimal performance. So other things you might want to think about when you're dealing with the heat. You really need to know your fluid intake. If you get 2% dehydrated, you're going to lose 3 to 5% of your performance ability. If you get 4 or 5% dehydrated, you're down 10, 15, 20% in your performance ability. And somewhere between 5 and 10%, you're going to start to run into legitimate health concerns like heat exhaustion, heat stroke. Dehydration puts you at a higher risk of stroke and heart attack. So these are very serious things. So if you're doing a long, hot race, you really got to stay on top of your hydration and sodium replacement. Dog wants to smell every last thing that we're walking by. Come on, Penny. Last little bit to consider when you're dealing with the heat. If you don't have a race in the heat, you don't really have to deal with it, right? So during the summer, you could go out nice and early, get your runs done in the morning. It's still going to be warm and humid, but at least you won't be exposed to like full-on sunlight radiation. And you can do some of your bike rides indoors. So if you want to get some outdoor time, you could go out for an hour or two and then come back in and finish your ride on the trainer. So it's not maybe as fun, right? But then you're not beating yourself up in the heat. As we get older, our bodies don't work as well, period, and they don't work as well in the heat. So if you're not signed up for a race in August, September, maybe you don't have to worry about it. See you next week.